Good morning. Innovation of the BIS, Bank of International Settlements 2025, a stepping stone towards an economic new world order. The links of this article are down below, and also every week I listen to news and views from the Nefario from Joseph P. Farrell for quite some years, 5 years now, and today morning I listened to his podcast that he broadcasted yesterday evening, and there was a little sentence that really caught my attention. It was that it's keeping under this BIS, this global BIS, the Bank of International Settlements, the local market. So which means that the the communities are using local currencies, okay, in order to skip this big brother. So, and that really caught my attention, and I want to read the article for you guys, and in order to be able to brainstorm with everyone to find a solution, so that we can raise our conscience and be our highest best self and live in love and harmony with everyone. Okay. The IMF's annual meetings held in Washington, D.C. last week demonstrated that the institution issues new economic projections of warnings of a downturn. The mainstream press are not averse on giving them prominent coverage. After the fund was founded in 1944 off the back of World War II, it became part of what internationalists call the rules-based of global order. For 75 years, the IMF has been regarded by the political establishment and banking elites as a linchpin of the world financial system. I want to excuse myself for my voice, but I have been for the couple of weeks under the weather. Contrary to what some may believe, the IMF was not the first global monetary institution. That collate belongs to the Swiss-based Bank of International Settlements, BIS, which predates the IMF by 14 years. Don't forget, there is a video that I did called The Network of Global Corporate Control that explains that everything belongs to this bank, okay? There are only 4 countries or 5 countries in the world that do not have, they are still sovereign, that create their own currency. That's according to it's Iran, Libya, North Korea, Russia, and China. Okay, those are 5 countries. There is also the explanation of the 2 different philosophies of money creation. That is also a video I did called The 2 Philosophies of Money Creation, explained by Dr. P. Farrell. Okay, and you have to connect the paper that was, the name is the Network of Global Corporate Control, that explains that everything, that 60% of the assets and 40% of the profits belong to this bank, not by sharing the axiom, but by doing interlocking of the board of directors. Okay, that's the modus operandi. Okay, as always, I will leave the links of the sources of all everything I talk about on the description box. Okay. Its creation in 1930 was, according to the BIS, primarily to settle representation payments imposed on Germany following the First World War. Without the First World War, a major crisis event, there would have been no mandate for the BIS to exist, much as there would have been no mandate for the IMF to exist, were it not for the spectre of the World War II. As well as settling German reparations payments, the BIS was also recognized from the outset as a forum for central bankers, the first of its kind, where they could speak candidly and direct the course of global monetary policy. The board of directors at the BIS is taken up predominantly by the heads of the leading central privacy world, Right now, the governor of the German Bundesbank, Jens Weidmann, is chairman of the board. As public servants, they gather in Basel every 8 weeks or so for a series of bi-monthly meetings, the discussions from which the ordinary citizens are not privy to. In 2013, author Adam Leiber published a book called The Tower of Basel, which analyzed certain key figureheads behind the early years of the bees. What Leiber detailed is how many of them were integral members of the Nazi regime. Hajma Schacht, who through his role of the Reichsbank president from 1933 to 1939 was Hitler's finance minister, was a BIS director. The Schacht, was tried and acquitted of war crimes following the World War II. Walter Funk, a former Nazi economics minister and Reichsbank president from 1939 to 1945, was also a BIS director. Funk was initially sent to prison for war crimes before being released in 1957. As Leiber documented, Funk worked closely with Heinrich Himmler, who was chief of the SS Schutzwaffe. Funk was also pioneer of a 1940 paper called Economic Reorganization of Europe, which was endorsed by the Nazi leadership and is stored in BIS archive. Emil Pohl, Funk's deputy, was a vice president of the Reichsbank during the World War II and BIS director. Like Funk, Pohl was convicted as a war criminal. Kurt von Schroeder, convicted of war crimes against humanity after World War II, was BIS director. Then there is Karl Blessing, dubbed as Harshal Schacht protégé, who worked at the BIS in the 1930s and eventually became president of the Bundesbank and a BIS director in 1958. Blessing was imprisoned following World War II but not charged with war crimes. Leiber made the observation that the parallels between the plans of the Nazi leadership for a post-war European economy and the subsequent process of European monetary economic integration were real. In other words, the objectives of post-World War II internationalists mirrored those dynamic Nazi regime. And as Leiber pointed out, the BIS runs like a thread through both. Leiber also rightfully stated that after 1945, it was former Nazi that took many of the key positions of power in the new Germany. Industrialists at the time saw this price worth paying in order to rebuild Germany's economy. Study the history of European monetary integration, and would you find that the BIS have featured prominently to bring it out. One example is 1989 Delors report, drafted at the BIS. It mapped out plans of a European monetary union, one of the leading men behind the report. By dint of this position on the Delors Committee was the BIS General Manager Alexandre Lamfalussy. With the evidence at hand, it is undeniable that the BIS stand at the head of the European integration project. The fact that they were exposed for accepting looted Nazi gold in the run-up to the World War II, and their actions served to finance Hitler's war machine, have largely been ignored. To this day, the BIS receives scant coverage within the media. Their latest initiative, Innovation BIS 2025, is a case in point. First outlined in March 2019 by General Manager Augustin Carstens. It is a medium-term strategy comprising 3 elements which the BIS summarizes as follows. First, identify and develop in-depth insights into critical trends in technology affecting central banking. 2. Develop public goods in the technology space geared towards improving functioning of the global financial system. 3. Serve as a focal point of a network of central bank experts on innovation. It was not until the end of 2019, in the line with the publication of the BIS Annual Economical, it is cut, I can't read it, the project was rectified by the BIS Board's direction. Innovation BIS 2025 has now encompassed plans for BIS Innovation Hub. The company press release mentioned how the hub will foster international collaboration on innovative financial technology. General Manager Carstens commented that the BIS would now work on a set of projects that reflects the innovation priorities of the central banking community. These priorities include the progression of fintech and global reforms of national payment systems. The BIS narrative questioning the role of money in the digital age, which began with the wake of Brexit and Donald Trump present is central to these ambitions. Bank of England Governor Mark Carney, a leading proponent of the project, believes that closer collaboration between central banks via the hub will help the private sector to fully realize these major opportunities. As I will be looking at in the future articles, private sector companies are due to play an instrumental part drive towards the full digitization of money and the prospect of central bank currency. This is a very important paragraph. I will repeat, as I will be looking in future articles, private sector companies are due to play an instrumental part in the drive towards the full digitization of money and the prospect of central bank digital currency. After the Innovation Hub was approved, the BIS ran a series of job advertisements for the initiative. The deadline for these adverts have now expired. One role is listed was for the head of the BIS Innovation, a 5-year term located in Basel, which would culminate just as the BOE and the Fed bring the new payment systems online. One of the leading requirements was for the successful applicant to possess at least 10 years of experience in a senior position within fintech, central banking, economical research for the financial industry. So far, the BIS have yet to announce the management makeup of the hub. One possible candidate is Mark Carney, who will step down as BOE governor on January 31st next year, 2020. The first phase of implementing the Innovation BIS 2025 will begin with 3 hubs, 2 of which will be located in Hong Kong and Singapore. This reflects the BIS wanting to broaden their presence in the East. The process has already started, as in September 2019 the Hong Kong Monetary Authority signed an operational agreement on commencing an information hub in Hong Kong. Quickly following one from his announcement as a second operational agreement, this time between the Swiss National Bank, SNB, and the BIS, the complete plans for the first phase of implementation. The second phase, which as yet does not have a reported timescale, will see the hubs brought to the cross of Americans in Europe. In the press release for the Swiss hub, it expands on the motivations behind the Innovation BIS 2025. The Swiss Center will initially conduct research on 2 projects. The first of these will examine the integration of digital central bank money into distributed ledger technology infrastructure. This new form of digital central bank money would be aimed at facilitating the settlement of tokenized assets between financial institutions. Tokens are digital assets that can be transferred from one party to another. The project will be carried out as a part of collaboration between the SNB and the SIX Group in the form of proof of concept. The SIX Group referenced in the above passage is a financial service provider that runs the infrastructures of Switzerland's financial system. One greatest concern here is the explicit mention of integration central bank digital money into DLT framework. This is something I wrote extensively about in a series of articles in August and September. The rise of distributed ledger and making of the technology compatible with payment systems is crucial to central banks realizing their aims of implementing a cashless society. I would contend that this is why the Bank of England and the Federal Reserve are in the midst of reforming their systems. To examine more motives creating the hub, Augustine Carstens gave 2 speeches within a few days in October. The first of these are entitled The New BIS Strategy, Bringing the Americans and Basel Closer Together. Carstens spoke of innovation and technology are reshaping the financial landscape, and how the scars left by financial crisis and the post-crisis environment mean it is necessary to reform the way the central bank and community operates. Very important what he means here. In relation to the post-crisis environment, Carstens says the uncertainty stemming from the return of protectionism and the resulting trade tensions is not at all helping the economic outlook. Against this background, technological innovation is changing banks, business models, and affecting the financial sector and the economy as a whole. So the uncertainty and division generated through the volatile geopolitical climate is coinciding with the technological innovation that the BIS and their members want to utilize as part of agenda to make all assets intangible, which means the end of physical notes and coins. Amidst this volatility, the BIS clearly sees an opportunity. In the light of the new challenges facing the central banking community, the BIS has reassessed the way it is fulfilling its mission. Our work will follow some implications of technology innovation for the central banks, the financial system, and the economy at large. Prevailing geopolitical conditions are enabling the BIS to advance its goals through Innovation BIS 2025. This is why I have long argued that the rise of protectionism, which by extension is aligned with resurgent nationalism, populism, are now detrimental to central banks. Crisis management, as Carton refers to this in his speech, is paramount to internationalists. Economic crisis is beneficial provided the BIS and fellow global bodies are tasked with managing the fallout. Notice how they concentrate their efforts on management rather than resolution. Each outbreak of crisis is an effect of an opportunity, which perhaps why no sustained efforts goes into resolving fundamental flaws within the system. Carsten's second speech, Central Bank Innovation from Switzerland to the World, tell us a little more about the BIS 2025 strategy. In our previous medium-term plan, the emphasis was mainly on addressing the challenges associated with the aftermath of the great financial crisis. In the post-crisis environment, amid rapid economic and technological change, the needs of central bank and other financial authorities have evolved. He now talks how the advantage of technology is a critical driver behind the design of our strategy. The BIS is therefore fully committed to conscious innovation and to preparing ourselves for the challenges of tomorrow. The hub, it is in its infancy, but Carson makes known it gathers in knowledge and experience. A homegrown agenda will quickly be developed. This is one reason why the first European base will be located in Switzerland, the home of the BIS. But I suspect the primary reason outlined by Carstens is due to the start-up fintech firms in Switzerland being supported by amendments to the Swiss legal framework that facilitate the use of technology in the financial sector. An interesting aside is that the Swiss National Bank was one of the first central banks to introduce the concept of the real-time gross settlement system, the same system which is now ripe for international reform to accommodate fintech. The speech that Carstens described the BIS of the world's oldest international institution that remains the principal central of international central bank cooperation. This understates the BIS somewhat. Where they stand is that the appendix of the world financial system, and they managed to achieve this way from the layer to the world's media, in spite of their history. Innovation BIS 2025 is the next step in the quest of harmonized digital technology like distributed ledger with the next generation of payment systems, thus endangering the existence of physical money. As the world grows more unstable both economically and politically, central banks in leagues of this private sector will seek to take advantage of perpetual crisis to achieve their ends. The no longer BIS remains in the shadows, the more likely the initiative to succeed. Yeah, obviously, another covert operation. Well, Dr. Joseph P. Farrell, when he also read this article, he mentioned that they are doing a test, a project in Australia that people can only carry $10,000 around, okay, and they wanna reduce or limit it downwards that amount of money, and they also want to criminalize anybody that has more than that limit, okay. What means is this is a top-down management, so we did not agree with this, okay. Thank you very much for listening to me. Comment, like, subscribe, hit the bell button, and for donations there is the email down below. And I also invite you to check all my other playlists from several perspectives of love. Thank you very much, and especially the one that is about self-improvement and curing childhood wounds and moving into a family full of love. Thank you very much, and have a nice day. Bye.